I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, June the 10th, brought to you in part by Noromycin by Norbrook. Noromycin is a proven go-to antibiotic for a broad spectrum of cattle diseases and infections, and it's readily available without a script. For more information, go to norbrook.com. Slaughter capacity. And here of late, as we've been going through all this tumultuous times here with the big disparity between your box beef cutout values or your wholesale beef prices and the prices that fat cattle are bringing, and we've got bills before Congress, we've got letters going out to the Attorney General, we've got meetings going on with dogs and cats piled up in the same group, talking things over and trying to get something done. But here of late, we've seen some of your more politically correct analysts come out and say that they think the whole problem is that we don't have enough slaughter capacity. Well, I'll agree that some more slaughter capacity would be good. But when I hear them say that, as simple as it is, more slaughter capacity is what we need, I hear them say that they want status quo, that they like things just exactly the way they are. You know how long it would take to plan and build a major slaughter plant? I mean, we could actually go through several cycles before that would happen. We need something to happen now. And none of your major packers have any plans to put another major slaughter plant in. Like I said, they're so disciplined they can sit right back. They pretty much keep the same percentage per major corporate plant the same all the time, and just divvy up the cattle, and they know that they're going to get them all anyway. Now, since the COVID has hit, and even maybe starting before that, after the Holcomb fire, we have seen a lot of small plants come along. You know, maybe 15 or 20 a day, maybe or even a week, maybe 50 a week, maybe 75, maybe 150 a week. They're starting to add up a little bit. Now, they're going to nip around on the heels, but they're not going to be out there competing for the cattle on the show list and the feedlots per se. So that's not going to help. And unless we can negotiate a higher price, none of that's going to help. We've got to be able to negotiate a higher price. So, you go back and you think, when were things the best? And we go back to 2014. We always go back there. And some of these analysts that are saying, well, since we lost that big slaughter capacity, Plainview Cargill was closed in January of 2013, guys. That sure didn't make any difference with the high prices that we had in 2014. I've talked many times about all the things that happened to cause our prices to get to where they did in 2014, and the late great Memphis Charlie McVeigh had some to do with it. The smallest beef cow herd since the early 1950s was way over twice as many people, had a lot to do with it. We had droughts in major production areas kind of staggered through that caused all that. A lot of things caused all that. We need more negotiated trade right now. With the plants that we have running right now, and we lost a major one back in 2019 in the summer when the Holcomb fire happened. It was amazing that they were able to step up slaughter to even higher than what we had with that Holcomb plant going whenever they needed to, and whenever they were able to have a black swan and cause their box beef cutout values to go higher. It's amazing how we were able to raise slaughter. And they're talking about not being able to keep workers in there. Raise their wages. Christ, you're making $1,300 a head. If you got to pay those people $15 an hour to get them there, pay it. If you got to pay them $20 an hour, pay that. It ain't going to kill you. I know they're getting some money thrown at them from Biden, and the lazier ones are going to be happier with that. But I tell you what, most of those people, especially the ones that are sending money south of the border to their extended family, if you dangle enough money out there, they'll come to work. and you're making the money, raise the wages up there high enough to get them to come to work. We can't sit back here and feel sorry for you guys because you can't get workers there. Raise their wages. You know, I've been talking about, so much about the disparage of what they're getting for their cutout values and what people are getting for their finished cattle. And it was put pretty simple to me this last week. And remember, we talked here a week or two ago about a farmer feeder up there in North Dakota, and he was wanting to make a banner that said this. But the total payout from packers to a cattle feeder for a pot load of fat cattle is around $65,000. On that load of fat cattle, your packer is going to profit $40,000. I'm not going to feel sorry for him if he's too tight to pay those workers enough to make them come to work. Those people want to work. They want to make money, and they will come to work if you dangle enough money out there for them. And just saying that we need more slaughter capacity and then wanting to put it to bed and not get behind some of these fixes, that's not an option. No. We've got lots more bills. We had another bill just introduced this week. Vicky Hartzler, she's one of the champions. There's several champions there. John Tester, Charles Grassley, Deb Fisher. We've seen a lot of them that's come to the rising to the top. But Vicky Hartzler is another one from Missouri. And she's a representative. She's introduced a House bill that's just exactly like Deb Fisher's Senate bill that she put up. And so we just keep getting more and more and more, and it's starting to build. I tell you what, the Attorney General, Merrick Garland's desk is starting to get piled up with letters talking about the cattle business and the monopoly that we're facing, and that we need more investigations and all that kind of thing. And the P&S needs more teeth. If they're going to continue to be the ones to oversee this, they need more teeth. And I've talked to a lot of guys that's been in trouble with the P&S, and they say you can knock heads with them all day long and never get a headache. They just don't have enough teeth to get anything. But then I've talked to some people that's been in trouble with USDA, and they said, hey, but P&S is nothing. But if you start getting letters from FDA or DOJ, you better start getting straight, because they can do some stuff. They can shut you down. They can put you out of business. They can put you in jail. Well, we need to start gleaning some of that over to the P&S, because right now they're worthless as tits on a boar hog, and they're just as weak, so they can't do anything. So if we can get them a little bit more teeth as we start looking at some of these bills, something's going to happen, guys. And I'm sorry for you guys that just want to say, well, it'd be nice if we had another plan or two. Yeah, we could run these wide open too, guys, but they're not going to do it because they're so disciplined. They're just going to sit back and wait for it to come to them. Told you guys a million times, it's like the young bull and the old bull. Why get in a big hurry? It's all going to come your way anyway. But, that's very frustrating when you got somebody that's really supposed to be on top of the trade, and they say, well, all this would just be fixed. It's just supply and demand, and we just need more slaughter capacity. Bullshit. They're taking advantage of us. They're gouging the consumer. They're manipulating the price on your fat cattle sellers, and they're sopping up all that gravy in between, and they're more than happy to do it. And you can tell by the charity bids that they've been putting out here for the last several weeks that they've just about run out of gall. They can only go so far. But that's kind of frustrating. Let's talk about your board. For Wednesday, June live cattle futures up 67 cents at 117.40. August up 45 cents at 118.27. What did that do? That basically just, it ended up making the charity bids mostly 120 instead of 119 because most of your hedge feeders were losing almost $1 there on nearby June. But, we just got to get more competitive bidding and more activity in this market because, you're just trading out paper, and it's all about the basis all the time. Your back months on your live cattle down 45 cents to up 40, so really not that much activity in your live cattle pits. How about feeder cattle? August down 97 cents at 148.27. September was down $1.20 at 150.75. You go on the back months of it, unchanged to down $1.47 for the most part until you go all the way out to the last traded month, which was May of 2022, and it was up just over $1. So, and your grains are just, they're just on a pulley system with corn. Well, old crop, July corn, the new crop actually wasn't up much, but old crop July corn was up 10 3/4 cent a bushel at 6.90 3/4. But something's fixing to happen here, guys. Towards the mid-late part of this month, going to lose the options. We've still got almost as much open interest in our spot July corn as we do the new crop December, which is unusual. Those guys are hanging on longer than they normally do. They've been really enjoying this. Your funds have been heavily long into this, and they've been running this corn up. Well, we start losing the options. It starts to get to the point they need to jump ship and run to a later month. Well, whenever they pile out, likely we're going to see this corn old crop price adjust quite a bit. And so I don't know, and then delivery could come into play, but likely they're going to jump ship, and we're going to see some adjustment down before we get into July for the spot July corn contract. But be interesting to see. You guys kind of watch. Not that it plays that big of a role in your cattle prices right now, because likely most all your feedlots at least got enough corn to cover their needs, until they can get to the new crop. But it's still going to be interesting to watch. Let's talk about your fat cattle trade. Continued trickle trade, and it's been almost the same here for the last 3, 4, 5 weeks. A little bit of trade Monday, Tuesday, a little bit of trade Wednesday, a little bit of trade Thursday, Friday, all at these charity bids that the packers are giving, because they only have about enough gall to make $1,200 or $1,300 a head, while most of these guys are losing on their cattle. But Iowa had confirmed sales on Wednesday, 2,600 head, 16,800 head for the week so far, so they still got a lot of work to do. Live sales 120 to 121, dress sales all at 191. Nebraska, about 3,300 head on Wednesday, 26,700 head for the week. Live sales 120 to 122.5, dress sales 191. Southern Plains had some trade too, and some of it on the online sale, but 8,800 head in Kansas, only 11,300 head for the week in Kansas, 119 to mostly all 120 direct country sales. Texas, 5,200 head on Wednesday, only 7,000 so far for the week, 118 to mostly all 120. Colorado, confidentiality prevented us from seeing anything that goes on there, but not a whole lot goes on over there anyway, so guess it really doesn't matter. But what I'm getting to on your for the weeks is they got more work to do here on Thursday and maybe some cleanup on Friday, and they are wanting to get more cattle bought, and they are on a negotiated basis, and they are wanting to step up their chain speeds a little bit. And believe you me, there's plenty of room on that dial to crank up these chain speeds if they would lure these people to come back into work and crank it up. We've seen them do it when they have to do it. They could step it up quite a bit if they wanted to. They're just too disciplined to do it. Box beef cutout values, choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon up just 4 cents a hundredweight at 338.65. So we kind of agree that your box beef cutout values have topped out. Of course, they're topping $100 per hundred. Higher than what we would assume that they would be topping out, but likely they can't push them up anymore, or they're going to have to eat them or just hold them all in the freezer themselves, and most of us will just start eating hot dogs and chicken and things like that, because they're about to overprice this stuff. Decent steaks in your supermarkets, they finally reached there now, $15, $20 a pound. If you want to go to a supermarket and buy a good steak, slap it on the grill, Hell, people will go out and eat Mexican food or something like that. You know, there's a limit to what people will pay. Sure, they want to have a good steak, but there's a limit to how far you can push it. Select cuts on Wednesday afternoon, $307.87, up $1.69. Your slaughter running really good, and we've got space, guys. You know, let's don't just talk about this. We need to, more slaughter capacity. It's amazing what they can do when they want to do it. 355,000 now so far through Wednesday. That's 154,000 more than last week. Of course, it was a holiday week. 12,000 more than the same week a year ago when they were stepping it up pretty good too, as they were getting people back into work. What else is going on? How about Western Video Market? You know, I've told you many times, we're proud here at DV Auction to take the internet bids and do the internet broadcasting for Western Video Market, Ellington Peak, Brad Peak, John Rogers, that whole gang out there in California, and the people that they don't just throw a contract book and a video camera to anybody out there. You've got to be working through a good reputation, established auction market before you're going to be a rep for Western Video Market, and they do an awful good job out there, and pretty much from the Rocky Mountains west, they own it. But Western Video Market's next sale is this Friday, June the 11th. It's just going to be an internet sale. You can go on to wvmcattle.com and view them. They got over 10,000 head, mostly cattle and some lambs. Or you can go on to dvauction.com and get to the same console. But be thinking about their big July sale, which the deadline for the big July sale, which is going to be at Silver Legacy Casino in Reno, Nevada. I'm going to be going out there. It's going to be, right there. I think it's around July the 11th or 12th, right in there. It's when they're having the sale. But the deadline to get your consignments in is June the 24th. They're going to have well over 100,000 head, and they'll have all the big buyers either there or tuned in on it. So if you got cattle to sell, especially if you're out west, you need to get in touch with Western Video Market. How about your feeder cattle market? Your real-time index on DV Auction late in the day on Wednesday, sitting at 137.13, down 64 cents. And we just had a lot of Southern Plains cattle, and not many of your Northern Plains fancier types to hold that up. And when you just get a ton, still coming off wheat, guys, it's been really wet in some of those places, and that wheat stayed fairly tender, and they're going to continue to run those cattle here. But guys, still pretty aggressive on buying them, because another couple weeks we're going to be shut down for 4th of July. And then after that, it's going to be pretty dead until you start seeing your cattle come off the double stock pastures in the Flint Hills and the Osage and places like that at the tail end of July there. But you look at your big sales, OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 10,300 head, including the calves that they had on Tuesday, and it was hot. Tell you what, way up in the 90s there, or scratching 100, and I was driving through that area there, and I mean, it was hot. Feeder steers, $3 to $5 higher. Feeder heifers, $2 to $4. You look at your $2 to $4 higher. You look at this automated market report out of DV Auction. It's just the Wednesday sale, so you see the receipts on that. But look at these tests and your best tested weights of steers and heifers. 2,371 head of 8-weight steers averaged 846 at 137.18, the weighted average price. That's on all of them. The good, bad, the uglies, and everything that they had in there. The singles, the bunches, the loads. And that weighted average price was over $3.50 higher than just last week. So, I mean, selling really good. 1,569 head of the 9-weight steers in El Reno averaged $9.55, 128.52, and that was close to $1 higher on the big 9-weights up there, and they're averaging over 9.5. So likely last week they were averaging a little lighter than that. Look at the heifers, over 1,400 head of 7-weight heifers averaged $7.53, 128.79, and that was about $3.50 higher than last week. So really good sale at El Reno. They'll probably have another good sale or two here and then wind down for the 4th of July. But your best quote that I saw out of El Reno on Wednesday, and John Cooper was sending them to me, and I tell you what, he's a friend of mine. I know he's busy auctioneering, but he's texting me these loads, and man, I got a string coming in here, and I really appreciate that, you know, whenever I'm tied in there, and it helps me kind of have a feel for the market. But the best one that I saw was 82 head of 1,014 pound steers, bring $127. That's big time. And they had a lot of big time strings in there, a lot of strings of 200 or 300. I mean, just big time sale in El Reno, Oklahoma. But I tell you what, up in Parsons, Kansas, that's not one of our normal high volume sales, but Parsons Livestock Auction up there, they had a really good sale on Wednesday. And you look at these load lots and bigger strings that they had, and these are just steers that they had in Parsons on Wednesday, and they're all very impressive there. The one that stuck out to me was the last one on the bottom there, 131 head of 814 pound steers, bring 142 and a quarter. That's big time. You guys think, well, you know, in Oklahoma and Kansas, you can get that because the feedlots are so close, but you can't get that anywhere. How about North Arkansas Livestock, Green Forest, Arkansas? There's no confinement lots on a commercial basis anywhere near there. 92 head. They had a big sale at Green Forest. They just had string after string after string. A lot of them. They were all impressive, but this was the most impressive to me. 92 head weighed 948 at $127 in Green Forest, Arkansas, guys. That's very impressive. How about South Central Regional Stockyards, Vienna, Missouri? The Patton family, they're good friends of mine, on some light calves, and just don't see strings of light calves, you know, selling this time of year where it's not horrible dry. I mean, you might be seeing them up in Oregon, Washington, North Dakota, but it's been really, really wet in central Missouri. They still sold 72 head of 454 pound steer calves at 188 and a quarter. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Nevada Livestock Marketing there in Fallon, Nevada, and my good buddy Jack Payne, he had a deal in there. He had some Red Angus replacement heifers, and you think, oh my God, out there in the desert it's dry. Actually, in eastern part of Nevada, parts of Nevada, it's been kind of spotty around. And I talked to him just the other day, and he said, hey, some of this BLM actually looks pretty darn good, especially when you get up there at elevations. Anyway, a good buddy of his, Charlie Gardner, former bronc rider, national finals type bronc rider, he's got some really good cattle in there. You know, you guys know I auctioneer. Sold some fancy Red Angus cattle for him here a couple of months ago or so, but he had kept some of these Red Angus replacement type heifers, sold 55 head of them, weighed 755 pounds, and they're going to stay local right in there in Nevada for $150, $250. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.